how's it going? So there is a third syntax, which is basically combination of the other two. So we're gonna create a branch and we call it use context as block with children. It's probably context as block would be the best. No, context as block with children would be the better explanation. Okay, so how does it work? So the way it works is identical to essentially what we're doing. We're combining the syntax 1 and syntax 2. So think about syntax 1 is block. Okay? Syntax 2 is essentially your whole app is wrapped inside this context wrapper. So the entire app is the block. But now, what if we want to create separate blocks but reuse this wrapper, right? So you can do that, which is the third syntax. So essentially, the key code is this one here. I'll show you the key code. If you want to create reusable context, you need to pass children. So you see the difference. You pass children. So now anything you add into here will be automatically added into the context. Whereas in the first example, we are manually adding components one by one into it. So to avoid this tedious task, now it's still going to be a tedious task, but you're going to be creating reusable context. So just go through all the videos. Like once you get to this video, it becomes obvious that you can do it, right? So, okay, so let's create a folder. I'll do it with you. Let's say context, and let's create new file, which context wrapper JS. So we want to do this so that we have arrow function. Okay, so the first thing we do, we want to export and call it reusable context. For example, like this. React, create context. We start with null. Fine. Okay. Export const. My apologies. All right. So now we need to destructure and put children. And now we need to create this provider here. Provider value. Okay. So. Whoops. Okay. And then we're gonna remove this. We don't need this. So this is standard stuff like context provider. And then we'll put children here. Right? Okay. So now we want to put some kind of a default state into here. So let's do our usual, which is const object values equals name hello. So this is gonna be our default value. Okay, so now this wrapper is a reusable context with the default state of this thing here. So now let's create let me draw it. Let me draw it for you. Otherwise you might get confused. So you see, well, essentially that's actually. It's essentially going to look like this, right? Now, the default values are going to be the same, but then each component is going to change its own value, right? And now, what's going to happen is, when these components change this value, these components will not update. Well, let's just keep this thing here, and I'll show it to you, okay? So let's call this, let's call this here block A. Whoops. So this will be block A. And let's call this block B. Block B. Whoopsie. Okay, so let's create block A. So let's go into our components and create folder called block A. So we're gonna create a block A index, I suppose, JS, right? Then we need to do this. Then we need to import this guy here from, I think it's like this. Whoopsie. Sorry, I don't have barrel imports in here, so it's a bit, importing is a bit of a pain in the butt. Okay, so now, look, we put our thing in here, right? So now, in theory, every component inside of this thing will have access to this thing here, right? So now, okay. I'm just theorizing. 1 sec. So now we need to import block index into our app. To here. Import from components and then block A. I know it's confusing. Really confusing. I understand, but like that's. Welcome to the world of programming. What can I say? I hope you enjoy your stay. Okay, so now we need to create a couple of child components in here. So let's do child A1, and let's create child A2. No, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I'm just like I ran it through in my head. It makes sense to me that it should work. So could be technically wasting time, but whatever. Okay, so now we need to import this into block A. So this will be our child components. Okay, so we do import from yep. And import. Yep. Okay. So now we need to put them into here. Whoops. Oopsie. What the hell's going on? Oh, it's my auto imports. I think is troubling a little bit. Whoops. Yep. Okay, so now, what did we do? We created a reusable context, which is the same, and now we've wrapped our block A. We imported this reusable context into block A, and we added components into it, right? So now we need to make components be able to access the context. So the way we do that is we go into every single child, and we do import. What's the name of the context? Reusable context. Okay, so we do this from. Is it really the path? Oh, it is actually. Reusable context. Oh, context wrapper. Yeah. Oh, shit. We need this one. Yeah, okay. Correct. Okay. I'm doing Pomodoros because, I mean, this stuff is difficult. So now we need to get access to const object value equals react useContext. Okay. So now, in theory, this component should be able to see the value, right? Yeah, there it is, you see? So this is coming from child A1. Okay. So now we can do child 2, which is exactly the same shite. Child 2, which is like identical. Whoopsie. Okay, yeah, so everybody can see now the context, you see? So that's coming from child A2, and this is coming from child A1. So we have created one block. So you see this is block A. Inside of the block A, we imported the context wrapper, and now this is component A1 and component A2. So now the question is, we're going to create block B, do exactly the same thing, and then I want to know whether if I change value in here, will these guys, in my opinion, these two blocks are going to work separately. Okay, so let's say, let's change the value from here and let's add into this object value, let's add something like dot block A equals to whatever A. No, let's do this should not appear in block B. There you go. That's going to be our message. So now if we look, we can re-render. We can see that everybody can see it, right? Okay. Okay, now let's create block B. So let's close this and create new folder, block B. And what do we call them? Block B index. Okay, so we need block B index.js. Oh, mamma mia, mamma mia. Okay, so block B index created. We need to import our context, right? So we need to import this bad boy. Where is it located again? Context wrapper. Okay, so we're gonna remove this. Whoopsie. I'm trolling. Okay. So now any child that goes into here will have access. Okay, cool. So now we need to create children. So new file, child b1.js. Okay. Well, let me just real quick. Okay, now we need to make child see the context. So where is the context? Context is in here. Reusable context, so we need this value into child b1, okay? And it's coming from, it should be in context, and it should be in context wrapper, okay? So now we need to const, I don't know, any name. I'm just showing you that you can call this anything you want. Technically, we're getting these values. You can probably call it object values, but I'm just showing you can call it shake and bake if you want. So React use context reusable context. Okay. So now let's see. In theory, okay, so final is we need to import this block. Oh, shit, we need to child components. To be honest with you, for something like this, you definitely need Redux. It's a lot less boilerplating because this is just so many imports. Okay, so we need to import block. Child b1 from. Whoops. Child b1. Okay, and now we need to put child b1 into here, like this. And the final thing we need to do is to import it into here. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's so many imports, Jesus. This is why you want to use probably Redux for this stuff. Yeah. So it's complaining about something. Oh, because this should be block B. That's why it's complaining. Yeah. As you can see, we cannot see. You see, they're working as independent. So you see object value 1. So this is coming from child A1, A2. And they can see block A value. But the child B1, which is coming from block B, cannot see what's happening in the block A. So you see, this is kind of like a way to create reusable context and then let them share I don't know, what's the benefit of this? The benefit is that you're creating context one time. Essentially speaking, what you're doing is you are creating, you are saving time on creating this wrapper, and you can name this like default value, whatever the hell you want, and then you can just reuse this wrapper to create as many context blocks as you want, so that you don't have to every single time create a wrapper for a block of components. You can just reuse the wrapper, and that's it. That's kind of the only benefit of this thing. Outside of that, I think it's for something like this. Honestly, Redux is probably better, because the reason why I don't like context is because once, well, it's kind of, I don't know, it has use. I mean, it exists, so I mean, we use it in our tables at work, but I mean, but there you go. Anyway, I'll link it in the description below, so I will probably put this into description. Actually, I'll do it now, because this is a good drawing. This is a good drawing. How does it work? Let's do... Draw how it works. That's what we're gonna do. Draw how it works. Okay, so the critical question is, does block A do block A updates? Updates affect block B, i.e. whoops, will components in block B update if block A context value changes? And the answer is no. No, they do not update, because they are independent blocks of components. And in here I'm gonna copy and paste code, but you will have access to repo in here, like exactly like this in here. Okay? Yeah, take care. Bye bye.